Three kinds of business systems. I'm going to get into that we're going to learn today. Welcome everybody, this is Ash coming to you for another great short video. We're going to continue on with our training on the Cashflow Quadrant and why you'd want to be financially independent or financially very free. So let's continue on. This is a summary of chapters 3 and 4. So let's dive right in. Chapter 3 talks about why people choose security over freedom. Fear and comfort zones. Kiyosaki explains that most people gravitate towards employee, the E, self-employed, the S, quadrants, because of fear and the comfort of steady paycheck. I love this. These quadrants offer a sense of security that many find difficult to leave. You know, it's kind of like the example of the frog is boiling. I'll give you an example of that. Is that if you put a frog in a pail of water, okay, and you slowly turn on the heat, it'll stay in there. It'll just get used to the warm water, and you could actually boil the water to death if you wanted to, because you get accustomed to being around that environment. Same thing in a job. We get accustomed to being around what's average. We see everybody else do it, even though they're miserable. But there's a few that break out of the fear and the comfort of just being average. And there's nothing wrong with being average. It all depends on what you want. So if you want more than just a steady paycheck, in today's world, I don't find it's too steady. You can never know what's going to happen with these corporate Fortune 500 companies or whatever type of company you're working with. They could always cut you off, lay you off. You never know what's going on with the economy. Let's continue on. Conditions, beliefs about money. So society teaches us to seek security through employment rather than financial freedom. Kiyosaki explores how traditional education and cultural forms reinforce this mindset, making the E and the S quadrants appear safe, while the B and the I quadrants seem risky. I'm going to show you why actually staying in the E and the S is more risky than the other B and the I. Let's continue. The cost of security, relying on a job or self-employment income, often limits financial growth as it ties into our hours worked. Kiyosaki stresses that security-focused mindset can lead to financial stagnation, preventing people from realizing their potential wealth. You know, what I was saying is that if you ever watched baseball or any kind of a sport, even cricket, for example, whenever a ball is hit and there's a runner on base, okay, it takes risk to leave that base to go to the next level, to go to the base number 2, let's say, or base number 3. And sometimes people don't want to leave that job, which could be first base, and getting into financial freedom, which could advance them to freedom and make that point. So same thing in a job. People get tied too much into their cost or their manifestation of staying where they are. And that is not good, because this way you find out that by the time you're 65, what have you got to show for it? Let's continue on. Overcome fear with financial education to break free. Kiyosaki advocates that financial education helps people make informed decisions about transitioning to the B and the I quadrants. He argues that understanding risk can transform into empowerment. Transform fear into empowerment, actually. Very important. Freedom means choice. This chapter challenges readers to see financial freedom as a choice rather than as a luxury, arguing or urging them to question whether they want to stay in a quadrant that limits their freedom or pursues one that expands. Let's go to chapter 4. The 3 kinds of business systems. The power of the system in wealth building. Kiyosaki explained that one of the keys to success in the B quadrant is building a business system that generates income. Systems allow business owners to step back and let the system operate independently. Example, I can give you tons, but an example could be a conveyor belt. Think of a conveyor belt where you push the button, the conveyor belt automatically takes the product or whatever you put on the conveyor belt from point A to point B. They use it at airports and any other industrial or factory situations where the person doesn't have to do the heavy lifting for us. An example of that could be talked about it in the internet. We'll talk about it later in the future training. But the power of leverage we're going to get into. 3 types of systems. It introduces Three types of systems here. Business systems that successful business owners use. Traditional corporation, building a company from ground up, hiring employees, scaling operations. This path significantly times into resources, but offers great control. So there you go. Traditional businesses have that control where the boss is controlling the employees on what to do. Number two, franchises. Buying a franchise system with an established brand and operational guidelines. Franchises provide a business in a box approach, which can be ideal for those who want to streamline entry into the business ownership. Third one is network marketing, leveraging an existing network, building a team, earning commissions, generating passive income. Kiyosaki encourages readers to consider this as an option to provide business with valuable experience in a system. So let's look at these a little bit more. Traditionally, the mom and pop, as you know, and I can understand why the mom and pop, which gravitates to most people getting into business. They say, you know what, I'm an electrical contractor. Let's just say you worked as in electrical contractor field and you're an employee, you're a journeyman, for example. And a journeyman knows their craft very well. And they say, you know what, I'm working all these hours, I'm making all this money for the business owner. The customers are paying me like $5,000 or $1,000 to do a job, which I collect in 1 week. And I get to keep maybe 400 of that or 500 of that weekly paycheck, whatever the case may be. And the owner gets to keep the balance of it. So they know that if I was in the ownership position, I would make more money. So what do? They go out, start their own business, and guess what? It's not the same. We'll talk about that later on, but this is a great segue where you're starting to think like a business owner rather than an employee. The franchise model, let's continue. I'm going to go over these a little bit more and then I'm going to summarize here. Systems equals freedom. Oh man, write that down. Unlike traditional employment, business systems create financial leverage, allowing people to earn without constant efforts, personal efforts. This is definitely a feature of true business ownership in the B quadrant. Let's go and give you an example. I just showed you earlier, talked about a conveyor belt, but I'll tell you another business system you could relate that to, for example, a business franchise. For example, fast food. If you notice that if you go through a drive-through, they have a system lined up. First, you see the menu. They know what the prices are. You ask what it is. You move to the next booth. You put out your money. Then they ask you, would you like to supersize? There's a second option for them to increase their revenue. And then you get the product, which is whatever it is, French fries and burgers. So this is a process or a system that is day in, down, becomes so routine, so monotonous that it generates income for the owners. Learning through systems. Kiyosaki argues that successful business owners master the art of creating and managing a system, giving them control over their financial future. He urges readers to learn about and invest in these systems as a step towards independence, a path to I quadrant. Finally, he explains that earnings from these systems can be invested in the I quadrant, creating a cycle passive income generation that ultimately leads to financial freedom. See what we're getting? A business system generates income. You put that in an investment. The investment is pretty much like a turnkey operation. It's managed for you. It's done for you. So all you do is sit back after a period of time. You just collect the return on your investment. That's what he's alluding to. So this is hopefully you got good value out of this. Make sure you share this videos from people you know that can benefit from this knowledge and to help them get financial freedom. So make sure you like the video, put some comments down, share it, do all the good YouTube-y stuff that you all do. I'll talk to you in the next call. Make it a great day. Bye-bye.